Hey guys, welcome back to Jason Samco. Today we're going to be talking about the Jeep. My God, the Jeep. The reputation of Jeep. There's never been anything on the internet in history that has got a more miscalculated or misguided bad reputation than Jeep does. Yet today we're going to talk about the reality of it, especially in the Gladiator lineup. So when we look at this, okay, a lot of people love you're talking off-road capability. Yeah, we know all that crap, okay? Yeah, it's great off-road. It's fantastic. But the reputation that Jeep has got is so absurd that we're going to set it straight here and put it into reality. So same goes for Wrangler, but let's talk about the Gladiator here. Okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about, first off, let's start with the motor. Okay, the 3.6 liter Pentastar motor that is in here that everybody says is, it's a ticking time bomb. It's that kind of stuff. Do you know that this motor has almost 14 million of these motors on the road in all these different vehicles that this thing is made in, from full-size trucks to minivans, and it has been proven time and time again with less than a 1% failure rate. The simplicity of this motor is basically unmatched. Okay, this and Frontier are really the last two in the Honda Ridgeline, but this is as simple as technology gets. You can buy this motor brand new on sale from Mopar for like $6,000. The whole entire motor is a crate engine, completely done. Look at how easy that oil change is. See that oil filter right there? Look at how nice and simple that is. Everything about this motor screams simplicity. The transmission that it's attached to is by far one of the best transmissions that's ever been put in a mid-sized truck in history, ever. It is flawless. It is fantastic on every way. This thing is just, in this motor, let's put it this way. Okay, this motor has been around since 2011. So we're talking basically a 14-year-long motor life this motor has been out. Now, the first years were pretty rough, all the way into 15, even 16, even up to 17. They had some issues, 18, but we're in 2024. We're 2 months away from 2025. 2 months away from 2025. If you think for a second that this is not a bomb-proof, reliable motor in 2024, you don't know anything about truck motors. I'm sorry, but take a look at what's out there in the world today. Comparing this to what's available 2024 today, this is about as bomb-proof and as reliable as a mid-sized truck gets, or an SUV for that matter as well too, with the Wrangler. But this is it. This is as good as it is. This and the Frontier and the Ridgeline, and like I said, those are the three that are here. Now, the other motors are good too. I am fascinated with and love Chevy's 2.7 liter turbo 4-cylinder. I'm sorry, I do. I love everything about it. I think it's straight up pure brilliance. However, this motor right here offers a simple, functional, naturally aspirated V6 that is insanely affordable to work on and insanely easy to work on. Okay, and so is the whole truck. Look at this grill. Okay, this whole grill. Oh man, well, I just had a bird take out this headlight. I hit a huge vulture, actually. It was eating on some roadkill. He flew up, but he didn't get out of the way. I ended up catching him right here in this light right here, and it knocked that whole light back. Pulling the grill off on this thing takes about, I don't know, maybe 38 seconds to rip this whole entire front grill off, and then I re-glued and put that mount back together on there and got it all fixed up again. But we're talking simplicity at its finest, durability at its finest. This thing has it all, but it's got so much more compared to what we have on the market available today. Now, again, I'm not making this about off-road. Yes, we have the solid front axle, which is pretty indestructible and pretty straight up amazing. We know that, okay? We got a lot of features in this, front and rear lockers. We got a lot of capability. As far as the motor goes, the motor is as good as it gets today. I cannot emphasize that enough. There is not a motor made today in a mid-sized truck that is better than this one. There's one's equal, but there's nothing better, okay? So when people say, oh, Jeep is junk, Stellantis is junk. Stellantis is junk. Stellantis is, I hate Stellantis. They're a horrible company, but this has been around way before Stellantis. Stellantis didn't get here until like 2021 or whatever it was. Stellantis doesn't know his head from his rear end about American trucks, but Ram and Jeep continue to run without influence too much from Stellantis. They don't really have their paws in there more than the pricing, and we can bypass the pricing. Speaking of that, Okay, these things are, you know, the price tags on them scare people away. They are very negotiable. You can get a much better deal. But let's see what this thing does compared to other mid-size trucks. Okay, what you're talking about in here when people say, oh, it's junk and that kind of stuff. The build quality of this, I've done a whole video. I'll link it at the end. The build quality and the fit and finish of this thing is second to none. Okay, it is right up there with a 4Runner, and people argued that with me, but it is. It is right there. When it comes to the fit and the finish and the quality of this thing and the build and the way everything lines up and how well put together it is and all the stuff in this thing, it is right on par with a 4Runner, a Japanese-made 4Runner. Yes, it is. Believe it or don't is your choice. I don't care if you believe it or not, but this thing is just amazing. We have the best tow hooks in the industry in the rear, high where they're supposed to be. We have very competitive payload towing capacity. We have the capability of putting 35-inch tires with zero modification to the vehicle. No other midsize can do that today except for the Bison, but we can do it on this with zero modification, not even having to buy wheels. We get in this thing as well too. We have on the front, we have tow hooks, the best in the industry, where they're supposed to be, up high, not buried 6 feet down underneath here where you got to fight to get them in the mud. You're going to rip off valances and stuff like that. We have it all right here. It did put a mark. Look at that. See that mark right there? Plastic bumper, love this thing over a steel, but we actually hit, somebody ran over a piece of drywall and it flew up and spun at me, and that's where it hit on the way here today, on the way out here just now. Look at that. Like I said, what a beast of a truck. Durability at its absolute finest. No CVs to crack or give you problems or give you any fits. We have solid front axle. Look at the beef here and everything that we're talking about. Okay, well built on every level with coil spring rear suspension in this thing that is just a beast as well too. And when we have that motor in this trans hooked up to this thing with all of the simplicity that comes along with that, we have an unmatched system of pure function, reliability, and capability. So those old days of Jeep being, you know, people thinking Jeep are not good, they're going to cost you a lot of money, they're going to break down a lot, they're not even a little bit. When do Jeeps break down? When people go doing stupid modifications, okay? Mall crawlers have tons of problems with Jeeps. Why? Because they do it themselves and they don't know how to do it, okay? They go slamming a big old 100-pound bumper on the front and then they put a 80-pound winch on it. They wired it themselves. They put 32 different light bars on the thing. They put wheels that are 13.5 inches wide with another 25 inches of offset so that they're sticking out, you know, 6 miles out there. And then they wonder why their suspension has problems. They wonder why it doesn't track straight going down the road. And they wonder why they got electrical problems. Yet this stuff is all shorting out and having all kinds of issues because they put it together half-ass. Okay, that's where the problems come in. Okay, yeah, you might have a problem with one sometime, but you know what? Look at the whole entire industry. Okay, they all have problems. Okay, matter of fact, Chevy, Ford, and Chevy, Chevy, Ford, and Toyota have all had, you know, motors that have to be replaced right now. Okay, they're all in trouble right now with recalls for motors replaced. Keeps right on trucking, doing its thing just fine. I'm not saying it doesn't have issues, but I'm telling you that the whole, it's not as good as other vehicle stuff is such a crock of BS. You will not find a more reliable truck on the road today than a Jeep Gladiator or a Jeep Wrangler in the SUV world. You just don't. They are right up there at the top. Not better, not worse, but no, they are fantastic. What about the inside? Look at the amount of space and how utilitarian it is. Yes, mine is dirty. It's a tool. It works for a living. And that's another thing I should mention on here too. My Jeep only has 31,000 miles on it right now, or almost 32,000 miles on it. This thing works for a living more than I promise you any other vehicle you've ever had does, okay? I don't mean that mean. I just mean it is the fact that where I have to be, this is what I do for a living, and what this thing does every single day is abuse that's on levels that you're probably you won't do in one day what I do with this thing, or in a year what I do with this in one day. It just is what it is. It's what I have to do for what I do for work. Okay, so yours, like I said, or mine, the amount of abuse this takes is off the charts. Okay, we have incredible inside setups in this. We have a very utilitarian layout, analog gauges. How beautiful is that? Okay, no failure points in there, no BS. The screen is not too big, even on a 2024, beautifully integrated in there. We have all of our controls are tactile, hard buttons, real actual buttons that work and function on here. None of this BS stuff. Lockers front and rear. I'm in 4 high right now, as you can see. Okay, actual manual transfer case on this thing. Beautiful setup, plenty of room. This center console, I'm not opening mine because of the stuff I have in there and YouTube rules, but this is a 2-stage, 2-section, super deep. This is an amazing console. Absolutely amazing how Jeep sets that up on the inside. And we had a kid break into this one time just looking around for loose cash and stuff like that. And as funny as it is I had $300 sitting in here in the top section. There are 2 sections to this. There's a hidden button here. Then there's the main one. He hit here and opened the whole entire thing up to get into the main compartment. Didn't see anything he liked and he left it open. Had he just hit this one and opened that, he'd have found the $300 that was sitting right in there at the time. That's, like I said, pretty cool. Headroom, more headroom than you could imagine. Removable roof panels, got it. Removable doors, easy peasy. Everything that you can think of in here is simple. Look at how easy it was for me to wire in my pod lights here. I got my dash cam up there. Just simple, pure function is what this thing is. I put a seat cover on my seat, a Carhartt seat cover to protect stuff, but let's look at the back. What do we got going on back here? Back here in the back, more room in the back end than pretty much any midsize truck out there. Okay, for the most part. Now, a Honda Ridgeline may be cutting it pretty close as well, too, but this has got very comfortable. Look at the amazing bolstering and comfort, even for the back passengers in here. Awesome setup. 60-40 split seat Ranger. Think about that, where I can actually open these. Each one of these underneath has got so much actual real storage inside of here that it's pretty unbelievable. Let me set this stuff out here and I can show you. I'm not opening both sides, but let me just give you a look at this. Okay, I mean, unreal storage, and that goes down the whole length of this thing. Just massive amounts of storage in here, plus storage behind here, plus locking storage behind here. We can have, let me put my bow over there. We have storage back here, and we have, goes way down there deep, and then we have, this is also lockable with a key lock on there too. I mean, like I said, this is, you know, people don't have a clue or understand what, you know, you have the most storage of any midsize truck made, period. Hands down. Behind the seats, all that kind of stuff. You have one of the most comfortable back seats of any midsize truck. You have a lot of leg room, almost as much as any midsize truck. You have double mat pockets that come standard on this, on here, which are not meshy, cheap stuff like this, like we have in some vehicles. Actually hides all your gear you're putting in there very well. Oh my God, look at this, rear HVAC vents, rear air and heat in the back right here, and totally functionally controllable for each passenger. Power back here, okay? I run a lot of things that are plugged in and charging all my batteries. Awesome setup. Full-size mats all the way across, rubber mats included from the factory. This is not something I had to pay for extra. We got same thing on the front, mats right here. This thing screams everything. Look at the headroom in this. People complain, oh, the back seat has no headroom. You think there's no headroom in this? Look at this thing, it's a beast. Look at how perfectly located both of these speakers are, where you just can sit right here while you're driving. This is just blowing right over your ears and just absolutely amazing. Okay, the sound that you get out of this thing, everything about this thing screams. Plus, look at all the nooks and crannies that you could put bags and hide stuff in here. So utilitarian. So perfectly done, perfectly thought out. Yes, mine is filthy dirty. I live in it. Okay, this is a work tool for me. I make a living in this vehicle. So when I say this stuff, I don't say it like, oh, it's a garage princess and I keep it cleaned and it's all well taken care of. This thing is a tool for me. It is a tool every single day. And I bought it as a tool that has to get me in and out of places that I go that are very remote and get me back and do it all right. Back at bed space, fantastic. A lot of accessories like this cutting board piece that I put on here makes life so nice. Love this thing. Bed mat in the back end, plenty of room back here for everything that you need. Simple tonneau cover that flips. I mean, like I said, and then here, tie downs, low. Okay, low tie down right here. Up front, they are low also. What does that do for you? That lets you tie gear down. Notice my winch. See the tie down hook next to it on the, over on the wheel well side? Tied down, not tied up. Ties it down. That thing does not move. Even with all the bumping and bouncing and holes and everything I got to go through, it never moves. Why? Because we have low tie down points that can tie everything down. Bed lights in there too. Perfect setup. Like I said, this assumption on the internet that Jeep is not good or the Jeep is junk or Jeep is bad quality is the biggest misconception there is in the automotive world today. This thing screams quality. There's nothing out there that's going to last longer, do better, or be less expensive to maintain. I don't care what Car Edge or Consumers Report says on it. When you can replace the parts on this thing for the prices they are versus the prices of new stuff today, and with how easy it is to do, it's unbelievable. Even the maintenance alone. I mean, doing an oil change every 5,000 miles on this, if you're doing it yourself for $25, which I've made videos on, $25 in 5 minutes to change the oil on this yourself versus taking it in for $100. If you do that through the life of the car, you're saving a couple $1,000s right there alone, you know, over the price of anything else in maintenance cost on there, okay? This thing is a, sorry, this truck, the Jeep. I don't know how to put it any other way to you, but when you hear somebody say Jeep is junk, or the Jeep doesn't know how to build something right, or the Jeep always breaks down, or the Jeep is not reliable, or the Jeep wanders down the road, or that they're talking about stuff that's probably 10 years old and older. But if you buy something today, you buy a Gladiator today, or you buy a Rubicon today, I promise you it will be one of the best vehicles you could possibly get today, hands down. People will argue that. You will see it in the comments. They will tell me I'm full of crap and I don't know what I'm talking about. Yet on the same note, I've owned 38 new cars. I'm 50 years old. I've owned 38 new cars and I make a living, you know, knowing about trucks and stuff like this. So take it for what it's worth. But in my opinion, you can't do any better. And I needed a vehicle that I can put 40,000 miles a year on in some of the harshest environment and conditions there are. Okay, people, oh, you're just driving through the mud. So much to learn, but I need a vehicle that can get me through places that are insane, 40,000 miles a year, hold up to the abuse I put it through, and get me out of here when I'm done and I'm miles away. I have no cell service out here, okay, in some places. This one right here is not bad, but a lot of places I'm at, no cell service, miles away from nobody, and I need that vehicle to get me home every time. I chose this one. This is what I chose to buy. Okay, let that be worth something and sink in. Mine is over a year old. It has 32,000 miles on it, and it has been absolutely flawless. And it spends 200 to 300 miles a week in the nastiest crap you can imagine out here, sucked down in the mud, buried in the mud, driving through water, driving through huge washouts, bounced all over the place, beat up, and it just keeps right on going without an issue. Why? Pure simplicity. In every form. Everything about this thing is pure, simple, functional, and reliable. So that Jeep thing, that whole Jeep is junk, Jeep is garbage, Jeep is this, tell them to blow it right out their rear end. They don't have a clue what they're talking about. You want one of these, you can get an amazing deal on them because people don't want to spend the money on them because Stellantis priced them too high, but I promise you, one of the smartest decisions you can make, and one of the very few vehicles today that will get you to 200, 250, 300,000 miles with minimal money. You might have to put a motor in it. Oh my God, if I got to put a motor in it at $200,000, putting a motor in it at 200,000 miles, okay, if you got to go 200,000 miles and then you're going to put a motor in it at 200,000 miles, it's going to cost you $5,000, $6,000, maybe $8,000 with labor, okay, total to have it done, and it's done perfect from the dealership even. But here it is now, you got a brand new truck and motor. If you're driving a Tacoma, 2024 Tacoma, and at 120,000 miles, the turbo goes out, it's going to cost you like $8,000 to replace just a turbo. And now you still got a motor with 120,000 miles on it that's been run that way. You see what I'm getting at here? There's a lot of value in this and a lot of simplicity and a whole bunch of reliability. So take it for what it's worth. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching.